Welcome to the City Council meeting for Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. Ms. Hilbrick, will you please call roll?
Councilman De La Garza?
I am here.
Councilwoman Solis?
Here.
Councilman Crocker?
Here.
Councilwoman Scott?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Young?
Here.
Councilman Lofgren?
Here.
And Mayor Bachnight.
Here. And if everyone will please rise for the pledges and followed by a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, again, welcome everybody. Mr. Garza, do you have any announcements or reminders for this evening?
No, sir.
All right. So we have some public and employee recognitions. Is there a Diane Escalante here? Anybody from State Farm? Then Ms. Hilbrick, if you'll just read the proclamation for me, please, and then we'll present it to them at a different time.
Whereas State Farm is celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2022, and whereas the City of Victoria recognizes the positive impact the company and its agents have on the community as they have been taking care of customers in Texas since 1928, and whereas the State Farm was founded in the United States on the 7th of June in the year 1922 by a farmer from Myrna, Illinois, now, therefore, I, Jeff Bachnight, Mayor of the City of Victoria, Texas, do hereby proclaim June 7th, 2022 as State Farm Day in Victoria, Texas, and I call upon the residents of Victoria to observe this day by demonstrating what being a good neighbor is all about through acts of kindness and making people feel welcome.
Thank you. Ms. Euchre? We have a June 2022 Keep Victoria Beautiful Business Beautification Award.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here again today to introduce, once again, Meredith Bird. She's our chairperson for Keep Victoria Beautiful, and we have a new winner for June.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Each month, the public is invited to nominate businesses for the Keep Victoria Beautiful Business Beautification Award. Businesses are visited by our award committee and judged on criteria including the absence of litter, the upkeep of their green space and/or landscaping, and the overall condition of the property itself. We are proud to announce Victoria Station Apartments as the winner of our June Business Beautification Award. As you drive past Victoria Station, you'll notice the beautifully landscaped sign at the Sam Houston entrance, the magnificent condition of the property themselves, and the lovingly maintained grounds. This apartment complex was established in 1981 and has 224 units. This is a big property, and the effort required to keep it in such wonderful condition is tremendous. While work continues to repair the considerable damage from a fire that occurred in February, overall, Victoria Station Apartments truly does embody the values of Keep Victoria Beautiful, and we are elated to recognize property manager Kim Ross with the Business Beautification Award for June.
Good evening. On behalf of myself and the staff of Victoria Station, I want to say thank you for the nomination and awarding us for the Beautification Award. As a property manager, curb appeal is a huge thing. It is a major factor in leasing out apartments. Yes, we did have a major fire back in February, but we have not let that stop us. We have been striving and thriving on leasing apartments from the get-go. Victoria Station is a huge property. It is something that we strive to lease 100%. It is one of our older properties here in Victoria, but we do not let that hold us back. So again, we thank everybody who nominated us, and we thank everybody.
And then now we have Ms. Williams Capone to present a certificate of appreciation.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Tonight, I wanted to recognize several organizations and individuals who've worked with Victoria Public Library. James, do you have one? We've been working on a partnership to create a mini library at the Victoria Boys and Girls Club. This mini library fits in with the library's goals of encouraging a love of reading and providing materials and services that satisfy curiosity and stimulate imagination. We also have a strong focus on children and young adult services at our library because we believe that early development of good reading habits leads to a higher level of literacy throughout one's lifetime. Tonight, we wanted to thank B.K. Harrison with McCoy's Building Supply, who donated $200 of materials to build a bookshelf. Mr. Harrison's unable to attend tonight, but we are going to be sending a certificate of appreciation to him. And we also wanted to thank Habitat for Humanity, and Lisa Kiner is here tonight. We wanted to recognize her. Habitat donated their time, and they built the bookshelf, and it turned out really very nice. So this bookshelf is going to be housed at the Boys and Girls Club, and the library will provide a variety of donated materials that will be updated and replaced quarterly for the members of the club to use. I also wanted to thank Lynette Cunningham, Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club. She is with us tonight in the audience as well, for partnering with the library and allowing us to place the bookshelf at her site. And she just told me this evening that they started summer camps, and so it's going to get a lot of use from the get-go. So we'd like to just thank those people who've helped us.
And I don't think we got a chance to take a picture before. So for those that are in the room related with this certificate, Mayor, if you
Okay.
don't mind, quick picture. But definitely a round of applause for all those involved with this effort. Right. Yeah. Something. Yeah. That's hilarious. Great. Thank you.
So the next one is a presentation of a plaque to Thomas Goose, our outgoing city attorney. This has my name by it, but this is everybody on the diocese item. Mr. Goose, thank you for the past 12-plus years of providing guidance to council members, not just us, but the other former ones that aren't here tonight. We appreciate everything that you have done for us. You've been a wealth of knowledge, grown together in items. We've all learned new stuff. You provided a lot of basis and, research for us on a wide variety of topics. You led the legal department through Hurricane Harvey, through COVID pandemic, through Winter Storm Uri. So you got your test at the EOC as well. But really a big heartfelt thank you, and appreciate the time you've spent with the city, and you've made us a better place, and we wish you well in your next endeavors.
Y'all may not know this about me, but I'm a crier, so I hope I can get through this. Mayor Pulaski liked to say that a city does not retire, it goes on. So even though it's an exciting time for me to be moving on to the next phase, I know that I'm leaving behind a city that's going to continue to go on and that's going to succeed and going to thrive. I want to personally thank Mayor Armstrong and the council that was here in 2009 for giving me the opportunity to serve this community and to grow, as you mentioned, along with this community. It's been a fun ride. I want to say kudos to Mayor Balknight and all of you council members. You guys are the most professional, the most well-prepared, and the most agreeable city council that I have ever worked for. And I know that I am the envy of city attorneys across the state for the opportunity that I have to work with you. So thank you for what you're giving to the city of Victoria. Lastly, I want to thank the residents of the city of Victoria for allowing me to serve them. This community's going places. If they haven't seen it yet, it's clear to me that this council has a clear vision for where they want the city to go. This city manager has a plan to get there. And if we get the buy-in of the community into those two things, there is no question that this community is going to be successful in everything that it's striving to do. I've got one last piece of advice for you. In the 13 years that I've been city attorney, we've seen some interesting times, like the Chinese proverb, interesting times. And it has convinced me of one thing more than anything else. When you put a group of dedicated people together and have them come up with a collective decision, even if they disagree individually about what that decision should be, and maybe even definitely when they disagree about what that decision should be, that joint decision is the best thing to move forward. That's what our democracy was founded on. That's what you guys are doing on a regular basis. That's what you'll do here tonight. Hopefully not the disagreeing part. But I leave the city more firmly committed than when I started to the idea that a city council can change the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goose. All right, do you have anything else, Mr. Garza, under this topic?
No, sir.
Okay, and we'll close that and go to items from council. Thank you, Mr. Leonard. And we're going to start with Miss Cindy Staley.
That's citizen communication or items?
Oh,
from
I'm
council?
sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I got all these cards. I'm anxious to get going on. Items from council. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Anyone?
I do have one thing, but I'm going to wait till we are in one of the,
Okay,
okay.
sure. No, all right. Well, I'm going to close that now. Citizens communication, thanks for keeping me honest. Miss Cindy Staley.
Okay, I'm going to follow Thomas. I might cry. But I just wanted to say thank you, Mayor and City Council, for letting me speak with you tonight. It's been a joy. Oh, my stars. Okay, it's been a joy to serve the city of Victoria in the affordable housing arena for the past 21 years as president of Golden Crescent Habitat for Humanity. I got to wake up every day and say, bless the Lord, O my soul, rejoice and be glad in him, for this is the day that the Lord has made. And I've gotten to do that every day for the past 21 years. I've gotten to work with volunteers and families and city council members to build homes for families who otherwise could not afford to own a home of their own. It opened my eyes to what could be achieved when we work together as a community. Together, we've built 118 homes within the Victoria city limits, and we've repaired over 100 homes. Thanks to the city's foresight years ago in developing Swan Crossing, there's a relatively new, affordable development on the south side. Swan Crossing, and we were able to partner with 16 of those families to build those homes. Thanks to the city's partnership in 2007 and 8 through CBDG funds, we were able to build 7 homes on Hiller Street. The infrastructure costs were a little more than we could handle on our own, but the City of Victoria, through their CBDG department or funding, was able to help us with that. In other developments, you just waived fees, and that helped us keep our costs down. In total, Habitat Homes have made significant economic impact on this fair city, and I'm so proud of that. Using an average cost of about $60,000 a house, Habitat Homes have generated over $7 million in economic impact on our city. And we've added over $4 million to the tax roll, and our homeowners pay about $200,000 a year in property taxes. So thank you for being a great partner. Together, we have accomplished a lot, but there's still a lot to do. And Brian McLean is the man who's going to lead Habitat into the future. So Brian, come up here. Oh, I can't do that, can I? You're supposed to call him. Okay, sorry.
Before Brian gets up here, thank you, Ms. Staley. You've
Thank
made
you.
a big impact to the community. You've grown that organization unbelievably. You should be very proud of the job that you did over there.
Thank you,
We're going to
Mayor.
miss you in that role, and we appreciate you taking on other roles in the community and being part of the community going forward.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate each one of you.
Mr. Brian McLean.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for having me tonight. It's a great privilege to be the incoming Executive Director of Golden Habitat for Humanity. Since arriving in Victoria, my wife and I have been welcomed with open arms by the precious people here. We have found the perfect home to fit our peculiar needs. So, and as you've just heard, we have a rich tradition of habitat and the city of Victoria. It is my hope that we can look forward to not just the past, but also look into the future as we continue to build more homes, not just homes though, but also hope for the individuals and the families in Victoria. As we complete our last 3 homes in central Victoria, we also have several lots throughout the city limits that we'll be completing in the next few years. And we are actively working and looking for that next large subdivision so we can actually build quite a few more homes. And Ms. Staley will be staying on with us to help in that endeavor. Years ago, my wife and I sat down and had one of those, maybe it was a lottery moment or whatever, and said, if we had a lot of money, what would we do? And we determined that with a lot of the friends and the people that we were ministering to at the time, that we would offer 0% interest loans for homes. And then come to Victoria, Texas, and get to do just that and not even use my own money is a great privilege. So as we offer these 30-year 0% loans to these people, they can literally have a change in their life, in their future, in their destiny. And I'm sure many of us have signed off on that mortgage and seen that we're paying double for the house when we pay every mortgage payment, but yet our homeowners are really getting the privilege of owning a home at a great price and with sweat equity of their own today. Today, I'm also blessed to say that I get to do exactly what I wanted to do for many years with the help of the City of Victoria, corporations, individuals, and the state of Texas that are making this happen. We build safe homes, allowing people to save money and to live in a house that they can be proud of. We're providing homes where children can feel secure and seniors can age in place, and we're helping build wealth for people, helping them control their expenses and experience a sense of community. And homeownership also creates that safe, stable environment that allows children to do better in school. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to stand before you tonight and serve this community, and I look forward to many, many years ahead. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Von der Rohe.
Good Mayor, Executive Secretary, congratulations on your retirement, and thanks for taking all those complaints and forwarding them to the correct department and informing me on what happened. And I would like to thank the city attorney for resolving on how to do a citizen's complaint, because I've actually used it once, and he resolved the water issue I had of the landlord. I'm here to talk about the town hall meetings. The police department, they put it out and they call code enforcement and other people. And little Mike was there, and Tiffany was there, and Commissioner Garcia. But where's animal control when you need them? You know, someone reported someone killed a dog and threw it in a dumpster. You know, where's animal control to take that report? Who's going to take that report? Well, the answer is nobody. Animal control is not there. And it's like, why couldn't they just have one person there? And they know that the city of Victoria is a different department than them. So if they get invited, they don't really have to come. And I would like the next town hall meeting at 10 a.m. at animal control, so they couldn't get out of it. You know, they promised last year to do better, you know, in that advocate article, and I haven't really seen any improvement. You know, I mean, the police department have already had 2 meetings. They had one at Meals on Wheels, and just last week with the fire department and other businesses at the public library. And I would like to see animal control get more involved in the community. And I needed code enforcement because a branch came through someone's trailer house, and I needed them, so I gave them a picture of it, and a week later it's taking care of it. So that's why that town hall meeting was important. I had a problem too, and the police was there, and I gave them some information. And, you know, people sometimes need someone, but where's animal control? Hiding somewhere. And I wish they could, you know, make these meetings. You know, it would be nice. Thanks, and have a good night. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. All right, first one up, Lauren Flake. I want to remind everybody, 3-minute limit on speaking time too, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you what I've learned over the last year. Let's start. This is in reference to the library books. I'd like to start with the library policy. The child safety policy addresses behavior, supervision, the age when a child may be left unattended, following library rules, and unattended children at closing time. The SIPA intranet safety policy for children states that it is to prevent access or transmission of inappropriate material, prevent unauthorized access or other unlawful online activity, to prevent unauthorized disclosure of personal information, and to comply with the Children's Internet Protection Act. Last year, I happened across the book, Sex is a Funny Word, in the Children's Department. I checked it out and read it, and I requested that it be reevaluated for removal by the library director. My request, along with 42 others, were all denied. I petitioned the Library Advisory Board, but in December, they also denied my request. This is the book. It's called Sex is a Funny Word, and it looks very child-friendly. And yet, when you open the inside cover, this says how to use this book. Before you read the book with children or give it to children to read on their own, read through it yourself. Pay attention to the question pages at the ends of each chapter. Think through your own answers or responses to those questions and think about how you would address those questions with a child. This is especially important for the last chapter in Section 4 called Secret Touch, which deals with sexual abuse. This is a difficult topic for all of us. We don't want to imagine our children being sexually victimized, and many of us have our own experiences of sexual harassment and violence, which we can't help but bring to mind when thinking about the safety of children in our lives. This book is on the shelf for children to pick up. We've been told that it's the parent's responsibility to monitor his or her child. This makes no sense if you've ever taken more than one child to the library at a time. The library shelves should be as safe as the library's internet. We need to protect the innocence of children regarding age and content-appropriate books which are being purchased with our tax dollars or are being donated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flake. Ms. Platek?
Greetings. My name is Gabe Hotek, and I live in Victoria, Texas, and we are here because we need your help in protecting the innocence of children with our taxpayer dollars at the Victoria Public Library. I will be addressing the proposed revisions to the Victoria Public Library Collection Department policy as it concerns the children. In the second section, fourth bullet point, it talks about the Library Bill of Rights, the freedom to read, and others. In the freedom to read statement, it says in the second paragraph that ordinary individuals, by exercising critical judgment, will select the good and reject the bad. I ask, can children do that? Select the good and reject the bad? Their minds are not yet set. They are still being wired. They can't exercise critical judgment the way adults can. Now back to the collection policy. Under the development philosophy in the proposed policy, it's been added responsibility for reading or viewing of materials for children and adolescents rests with a parent or guardian. No, not completely, in my opinion. It is the responsibility of the library director to provide age and content-appropriate books in our library. If a teacher comes to the library with 15 students, or a parent with 2, 3, 4, or 5 children, it's impossible for them to monitor every book that is picked up by their child or children. Their child needs to be able to explore in a safe environment of content and age-appropriate books. In the materials section of the collection policy, it states, librarians select materials based on local and national demand, professional and popular reviews. This is not a national library. This is our community library, which is conservative, which means we are a moral people. Popular reviews are just commercials for books. They're going to make the book sound wonderful, but you don't know what's inside them until you read it. And lastly, I'd like to ask you a question. Did you know that the president-elect of the American Library Association is a self-avowed Marxist? I have material in these folders that I'll have handed out to you with additional information. Our library needs to stand with our community. It needs to create a children's collection policy and not be led by an association that elects an avowed Marxist for their president. Please help us protect the innocence of our children at the Victoria Public Library with our taxpayer dollars. Thank you for your time, your service to our community, and your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Platek. Speaker, if Ms. Ulrey would come forward. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. Today I speak as a taxpayer and encourage you as elected officials on the City Council who are responsible for where funds are directed to please investigate what books are being purchased by the Victoria Public Library. From the research that I have seen, some boundaries are needed to protect the innocence of our children from inappropriate content in books. Boundaries are good to have with our children. As a grandmother and now a great-grandmother, I know the curiosity of children can at times lead them into harmful consequences. We as adults are required to protect our children and set healthy boundaries. Why is this not required of our public library? I'm talking about the picture books, the juvenile, and the young adult sections. I recently attended a meeting at the Victoria Public Library regarding updating the spaces in the library. Before you vote to spend more money on remodeling the library, I encourage you that your priority be to require content and age-appropriate books in our public library. Again, thank you for stepping up to protect all of the children who use the Victoria Public Library.
Thank you, Ms. Ulrich. Mr. Eric Calloway. Mr. Eric Calloway. Is there an Eric Calloway?
Mr. Mayor, I'm Vanessa Hicks Calloway.
Yes, ma'am.
Eric is delivering via voicemail.
No, that's not allowed.
Okay, thanks.
But I do have you up next, so you can stay right there.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and fellow citizens. I'm Lieutenant Colonel retired Vanessa F. Hicks Calloway. I am here today to stress the importance of us all doing all that we can to protect and to prepare the children of our community to the fullest extent that we can. This means everyone, including but certainly not limited to parents, teachers, library board members, and elected officials who have the authority over spending and budget decisions. I ask, to the extent possible, that budget decision makers always ensure that limited tax dollars from the citizens of this community that we all work very hard for, that they are used to purchase library books in the most prudent, responsible, common sense way possible. As a child, I grew up reading C.S. Lewis books. I thank God that these books were the ones made available to me in my school library. These books opened my world to the possibility of dreaming dreams beyond the reality of growing up poor in Victoria in a fatherless home. I thank God I did not run into books like the ones currently available in our public library that are completely inappropriate for the young readers in our community. We should spend our limited tax dollars on the kinds of books that will help our children to become successful doctors, lawyers, software engineers, farmers, business owners, teachers, and productive citizens in society. To those who say we already have books like that available for children in the Victoria Public Library, I say good. This proves that wise, prudent decisions have and can be made for our children. I also say to continue along that common sense trend, buy more books like that. Some of the books of concern in the Victoria Public Library will only help prepare our children for a career in pornography. And that is not the direction we should send our young people. So please, I ask, I beg, do the right thing. Use our limited tax dollars in a way that will help groom our children toward acceptable careers. Every adult now listening to me never had to wade through books like the ones available now in the public library. We must not let this nonsense be our legacy to our youth. We owe our youth and the adults who came before us this kind of prudent, common sense decision with our limited tax dollars. I want to thank you all so much for your attention tonight, and have a good evening.
Mr. Jim Hester.
Hello, my name is Jim Hester. I've lived in Victoria for 44 years. All of my 6 kids born in Victoria. And they've often went down to the library and were able, my wife took them down there and they were able to basically read some really wholesome books at that time. Even if you talked about something like Little House on the Prairie books and you read those things, it would tell you what people dealt with in real life and how they were successful in the era that they lived. Understand that there's that concern about the public library, but I wanted to bring a different point of view about it, not in contrast to what they're doing, but thinking about, well, what should we do? And I'm a fan of books that are called Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, and how reading those books made a difference in my life. This is kind of hard because talking about my life wasn't easy. And I hope that you will increase the support for the quantity and quality of books about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I would like to ask you a question. Why doesn't Victoria have a target of increasing the area academic standards to the best 10% students of this state, as opposed to something else? Now, when I was a kid, no one pointed out to me that I lived in a broken home. I didn't know what those things were, okay? My dad also came out of a broken home, and he was pretty much a harsh type person. He treated my mom and us kids and stuff like that with not much compassion, but an awful lot of discipline. In my case, I suspect that due to a number of different childhood illnesses and stuff I had, I was a little skinny kid, quite frankly, and much better now. Anyway, it seemed like to me that I had created an extra burden, and that was not working well with my parents at all. I think it affected a lot of things. When I was around 9 years old, my parents did get divorced, and my mother moved us back to Beaumont, Texas, where her parents and siblings lived. We were not the crown kids of the group. I rarely saw my dad, but one thing he did is he bought some life science books for me, okay? And you did this on a deal where you get these things, they show up once a month, and there's like 26 of these books, and I read them. And when I read them, I learned a lot of things about stuff that were very interesting as I was doing that in my high school years. And I'd hope that you would be sure that you would have those types of things available to the kids, and that they could read them and stuff. And these things help me get good academic grades, help me get a good scholarship, help me become an engineer, help me get a patent, stuff like that. And I hope that our kids are going to be the type of kids that are going to be able to help other people as they move forward, just as people have helped with heart transplants. And for me, I've got a total shoulder replacement made out of titanium. We're going to need people that can do things like that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hester. Ms. Edwards. Ms. Wilma Edwards. Oh, there you are. Good evening, Ms. Edwards.
Good afternoon to everybody. I'm a little slow, getting a little older. Getting a little older, not getting old, but just a little older. I come before you. My name is Wilma Edwards, and I live in Victoria, Texas, 3503 Callis Street. And I'm here to ask some questions and make some statements. What will y'all be doing after we get through talking to y'all, after we get complaining, or get encouragement? What will y'all do as the city councilman after we go through all of this tonight? What is the city going to do in helping every program that we have in Victoria? Okay. And I represent 2 neighborhoods, which I'm a little too old to do that also. But I worked with Silver City, and I was really responsible for getting the neighborhood name Silver City. That was my leadership that happened. And then I'm working with, we call it Diamond Hill. Y'all probably don't know that place called Diamond Hill, but they call it Underhill now. So I'm working with those 2, and they expect me to continue to be a leader. I can't seem to get another leader to step up. But in our neighborhood, we have asked for street lights, It's on Cali Street. And y'all had promised us some apartments was going to be placed on Oldham Street. Now, this was told to us, and I think somebody told me it will start in September. But when you tell the people in the neighborhood, when you tell anybody you're going to do something, we expect it to be done. At least come back and tell us when it's going to be done. And we have lots of patch street in Silver City. I think when they came out to do the cleanup, which was wonderful, they came out a day or two before and patched some streets. So y'all would know that the streets were bad as they were. These things I'm letting you know, because I want to know afterward, when I finish talking, what's going to be done. Okay, and then we still have big trucks. I think that was supposed to be taken care of. I think it's waste management. Still goes down Cali Street with the big old trucks and the noise, and they're passing by the school, and I'm telling you, they go fast. But we're concerned about the condition of that street. That's Cali Street again. Okay, and I'm gonna close with that. I know everybody wanted me to say something about the free clothes ministry. Well, at this time, we just have to ask people for donations because the building has been demolished. And we are going to talk to the people in the neighborhood. They're very disappointed because they don't just get clothes. They get sheets and things in the house, and they're not getting anything. So I'm still there on Wednesdays on the outside of the building because it's a need. And I have we have a bank account open. You can pay your money there, donate your money there. And it's Prosperity Bank, 101 Main Street, and Free Clothes Ministry. Free Clothes Ministry. We're still looking for a building. We're not going to stop, Mayor. I don't know how long we're going to get it done, but the people decide we're going to do it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll close citizens' communication. Thank you to everyone that came forward tonight. We appreciate the input. We'll go into items with public hearings.
Item C1 is an ordinance approving a budget amendment for the Convention and Visitors Bureau Fund for De Leon Plaza statue.
This item is listed under Danielle, but she's enjoying life on vacation. And so Joel is somewhere in the room, I think. There he is.
Could we either pause for a moment so
We
there's
can,
not disruption?
absolutely.
But could we also invite those that are leaving? They might want to stay. This is a very interesting topic that we're about to discuss, and they might want to stay and listen to this one before they leave.
We'll give everybody a minute to settle in and out. In the meantime, Michael turned one on Sunday. It's crazy how fast that year has gone. Crazy.
Is he walking yet?
No, he's just teasing us.
Oh, wow. Wait till he starts walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wait.
Uh-huh. Next time he's going to be saying, oh, no.
Hey,
All right,
he's
Mr.
smart.
Joel.
I was going to bring him today, too.
Oh, you should
All right,
have.
let's go ahead and get going.
Mayor, Council, thank you for your time this evening. I'm going to do just a short presentation on a project that we are looking forward to for our upcoming Bicentennial. As many of you know and people tuning in know that we are coming up on a very exciting date for Victoria, our Bicentennial in 2024. We are really planning a year-long celebration for this event, also highlighting Bicentennial major events in town, as well as putting together a Bicentennial Commission, a committee of sorts involving city employees as well as those outside the city to have some useful input into organizing this celebration for Victoria. But it also includes major projects, and one of those I want to talk about tonight is a statue of our founder, Martin de Leon, and his wife, Patricia de la Garza. Now, many folks have heard the name Martin de Leon. He's our founder, but what more about the man? What more about his wife? And there's some really fascinating history behind him, his importance to Victoria, and not only Victoria, but Texas at large. He was born in 1765 in Burgos, Nuevo Santander, which is a region of Mexico. He's the only Mexican empresario to found a colony in Texas. So we were the only original colony that was founded as a predominantly Mexican colony, which is very unique for our heritage and the Texas history. He married Patricia de la Garza in 1795 and had 10 children, 4 boys and 6 girls. He's one of the earliest trail drivers in Texas, took cattle from a ranch in South Texas to New Orleans, and actually registered the first cattle brand in what would become Texas in 1807. You see it right there, the Espiritu de Jesus cattle brand, also known as the Flying E. And his 5-league ranch in southeast Victoria County also likely included the site of Robert LaSalle's failed Fort St. Louis, which is the earliest European settlement in Texas. His colonization grant, was approved on April 13th, 1824, and then he passed shortly before the Texas Revolution and the results of the Republic of Texas in 1833 during a cholera epidemic. But the statue will not only include Martin, it will include his wife, Patricia de la Garza, who was also very instrumental in the founding of Victoria. She was born in 1775 in Soto La Marina, Nuevo Santander. They married in 1795, and she contributed very greatly to the founding of the colony as well, donated livestock and that set $9,800, which was a lot of money back then, from inheritance with Martin to help found the colony. Saw to the founding of a school and church, what is now St. Mary's in the new colony. So while Martin was focusing on making the colony economically viable, she contributed to the educational and religious institutions here in Victoria. The De Leon family, I mentioned Martin passed in 1833, but the De Leon family contributed greatly to the cause for Texas independence, providing provisions to the Texian army and refuge to colonists. And then in 1849, shortly before her passing, Patricia donated the original home site for the De Leon homestead to what is now where St. Mary's Catholic Church stands. And that parish itself will be undergoing its bicentennial in 1824. So you see there's a lot of a fascinating history behind these two individuals and the whole De Leon family. The project timeline, and that's already, the wheels have been going on that. Some dates that have been, confirmed, conceptual stage has already taken place in earlier this spring. The bidding process is open and would be having a bid winner selected sometime in the next couple of weeks. The next dates are a little nebulous, still not totally confirmed, but we imagine a production stage would take quite some time for a project like this, which would also include site preparation, which would be the location in front of the Six Flags Monument on De Leon Plaza at the corner of Main Street and Forest Street. Then installation, and we would imagine and really enjoy to have a dedication ceremony on our founding date, which is April 13th of 2024. How is this going to be paid? Well, it would be from hotel occupancy tax funds, which are allowed to be used for historic preservation and promotion. That's one of the state of Texas legally allowed expenses for hotel occupancy tax funds, which are primarily paid for by out-of-town residents who are staying at our hotels. So this would be a transfer from the CVB fund balance that's built up over the years, and then would go towards this specific project to honor our founders, Martin de Leon and Patricia de la Garza, who contributed so much, not just to Victoria, but the state of Texas. And then the CVB fund balance would remain above the 3-month reserve, including this amendment, this transfer. So that's all I had this evening prepared, and can take any questions you might have at this time.
I have a comment. Okay, I was asked that, yes, I agree with the project, and a former council member, Emmett Alvarez, wishes to donate the first $1,000 for this project in his behalf.
Well,
right now, we don't have a donation mechanism set up for this.
Yeah, one of the objectives of the Bicentennial Commission will be to spearhead fundraising efforts. The fundraising efforts are going to be centered around the bicentennial celebration as a whole. And so once we get to that stage, yeah, absolutely, we can look at formalizing what Mr. Alvarez would like to do.
Okay.
And I too have gotten phone calls from people wanting to donate.
Awesome.
Of course.
Wonderful.
So I think.
Well,
this
we'll
is,
take it.
Yeah. So I think we're going to.
If we need to figure it out by the end of the week, we'll figure it out by the end of the week to get the money.
Make sure that those checks don't go anywhere else.
Yeah, that's right.
The community's getting excited about it, so
Yes.
we need to keep the excitement going.
I have a question, just kind of the logistics. This will be basically a piece of public art. Is it totally up to whoever we choose to do whatever they want? Or will we choose someone based on their concept? Or how will we have any type of control over the appropriateness of the?
I can answer that. We've gone out for requests for proposals from different artists. I was actually participated in meeting one of them, Mr. Armando Hinojosa, and his son David came to town. Included in that meeting was Blanche De Leon and a couple other De Leon family members. We want them to take the creative aspect and get their approval, because no one has an idea of what either of these people look like. So we want to make sure the family is happy with the product, and how, we decided on 2 people, and, are they looking off into the distance, like, oh, look, let's put the square over there, or is it, but we're leaving that kind of to the family, and they have to do it on this timeline too, and what's the, what are they wearing, all that stuff. So that's kind of where the decisions are coming from, and I felt it's most appropriate for that De Leon family to contribute in that way and make sure we get it right for them.
Yeah. And I think it's important too to note that the family obviously historically has spearhead efforts to try and achieve this goal as well. And so this is something that I know the family and the community has wanted to do for quite a while. And so there's already been put a lot of thought into what this would look like, where it would be located. The city, for example, had already passed a resolution designating the site for the statue back when the nonprofit spearhead by the family was doing some fundraising efforts, right? So there were a lot of things that were already set in motion that facilitate this process occurring in a quick manner.
All right. Motion?
I move that we,
Public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. I'll open this item C1 for a public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on it, please step up to the podium. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and entertain any motions.
I so move.
Second.
Great. One thing I did want to point out, it's not really 2 statues. I guess technically it's 2 figures on a pedestal, but I guess it could be 2 statues, but it's not going to be 2 different locations. They'll be standing together. All right. Any other comments, questions? All right. I think this is very important for our community. It's kind of embarrassing to me that we haven't done this before.
Correct.
Taking 200 years to get to this point, but we're going to get it done, and it's going to look right, and it's going to be fantastic. And thank you. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Great. Motion carries. C2.
Item C2 is an ordinance approving a budget amendment for North Heights Phase 7 Reconstruction Project.
Good evening. I'm here presenting the budget amendment for the North Heights Rehabilitation Project. It's Phase 7, Nueces Street, and it's the final phase. After 7 years of North Heights, this is the last one. Agenda is talk about the budget amendment and kind of go over the project of what it consists of. We did a competitively sealed proposal, as we've been doing lately. The original budget in 2022 for the CIP was $2,060,000. It was general fund budgeted, and it goes into a construction fund. As we opened up the proposals, we had 2 proposal submittals, one from Brandon Paving in the amount of $3,022,033, and then Lester Contract for $3,878,000. The additional funding needed is $1.2 million. That's why we're here to talk about the budget amendment. Where we would get that from is transfer the $858,000 from water wastewater working capital balance to the construction fund, and then another $340,000 from postponed CIP projects, clarifier and the generator buyout. cost increases for this project? I know that's the question. Concrete has gone up incredible. The concrete prices for the driveways, curb and gutter, and sidewalk. Yes, we have sidewalk on the project also additional, but just the concrete price, for instance, curb and gutter a year ago was running $17 just 1 foot. Now it's upwards of $25. The other items, of course, is the asphalt costs have gone up, pipe costs have gone up, and generally it's the fuel that is driving these construction prices up. Project overview, reconstruct of Nueces Street, which does include sidewalks along Nueces Street from Laurent to Navarro, and then we're also going to connect Nueces Street over to Rio Grande Street, complete those sidewalks. It's new curb and gutter, storm sewer improvements, new driveways, a lime stabilized subgrade, geogrid, and limestone base followed by a seal and hot mix. It includes all the complete the subdivision. It includes Nueces, of course, and then the north section of the streets and then the south section. And again, it's the final phase of North Heights. And Brandon Paving is the currently the low proposal. We'll bring this back to council once the budget amendment is approved on the 21st of June. This is the map showing the area. Some of that off to the left, you'll note, is part of DTAR hospital system, which we're not having to do. And project timeline, award the contract in the following meeting on the 21st, execute it in July, begin construction in August, and expected completion in about a year.
And we kind of breezed through it, but you may recall, we briefly at a workshop discussed the idea of adding sidewalks to this phase of it because of having the hospital on one end, Salvation Army on the other end.
Chick-fil-A.
Right, and so this project includes all of that. More than likely, there will also be a change to the traffic, I guess what's the word? I guess traffic flow. And so more than likely, there'll probably be an addition of stop condition somewhere in the middle, just to ensure that there's adequate circulation, so.
More than likely, that would be at Goldman. Since that's got the cross-access that the state put in, that would make the logical point.
Yeah. I have a question for you. I don't know if you remember. What did phase 1 cost?
1.2 million was the street cost. This one added the extra length of streets, so it's a little bit more, but it is just pure inflation. That's all this one really amounted to.
We took out the other stuff. It's probably double what it was.
Yeah. Yep.
From when we started the project.
And in case you're wondering, this obviously is also going to cause us to look at our CIP before final adoption in August, because now we've got real life proof on the increase of some of the expenses. So it'll definitely warrant a conversation before we finalize the CIP for next year.
And I'm working on those numbers now.
Well, in terms of the street, I mean, we have already talked about the fact that it is a well-used street, not just the sidewalk addition, which is great, but, I mean, it is used, but the mayor just pointed out that we should expect some additional traffic. Are our specs up to where they need to be for the street?
Yes.
For additional
Absolutely.
traffic?
The big point on this one that we in some of the phases, we tried to eliminate that lime subgrade, but in this particular part of town, what was happening is it just keep pumping like a mattress, so we added that lime subgrade to these phases, and we've seen a marked difference. The geogrid does help, but that adding lime to that black dirt stabilizes it a whole lot better.
Great, thank you.
That neighborhood is spectacular compared to where it was.
Yes, it is.
Me driving to the hospital frequently, it was a minefield.
And I'll say this,
So
the residents have done wonders. We've seen, as we go out there, we see marked improvements to the houses. I mean, it's a great, I think it's a great project that the city can pat their back for because it's a huge area.
All right, at this time, let me open it up for a public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on item C2, please step forward to the mic. Seeing no one get up, we'll close the public hearing and entertain any motions.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve item C2. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Item D1 is the adoption of minutes from the May 17, 2022 regular meeting. Item D2 is a resolution approving the amendment to extend the term of a purchase and installation contract with LJ Power Incorporated for the June 30th, 2022 for the purchase and installation of a 300 kilowatt generator and diesel fuel tank. And item D3 is a resolution approving an amendment to the professional services agreement with New Edge Services LLC to include an additional amount not to exceed $45,000 over a 3-year term for a total contract amount of $352,700. And item D4 is a resolution approving an agreement with the American Junior Golf Association to host the Victoria, Texas preview at the Riverside Golf Course.
Thank you, Ms. Hilbert.
Move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item E1.
Item E1 is a resolution awarding a contract for the CDBG DR Infrastructure Floodgates and Pump Stations project to J.S. Heron Company for their low bid of $7,117,000 and approving a change order to reduce the scope of the project to bring the total construction cost within the approved budget amount of $5,003,386.
Hi, Ms. Conley.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you. Tonight, we're awarding the bid on this and immediately approving the change order as a means to get within budget on this. Because we are under extreme time constraint, we have received an extension from the GLO. I believe we've already passed the original termination date for this project. We've gotten an extension to April 2024. The contractor that we're awarding to tonight has estimated 480 days to completion of this project. One of the things that's taking the most amount of time is getting generators. I'm advised by our engineer that it's the generators that are taking a long time, and the generators are what's working the pump stations. So as we're in the process of modifying the project to reduce the budget while minimizing the impact to the low to moderate income beneficiaries, we still need to award this because we need to award the bid inside of the deadline that the bids are good, and then also so that we can get started as soon as possible on construction after we get approval from the GLO for the modification. I think Ken and Matt can speak a little bit about what our proposal is to reduce the budget.
In this project, there are probably 3 big points for each location where the flap gates are. The flap gates, if you remember, they were built, best guess we could say 50s, 60s. They're metal. They're literally a gate with a chain on them. You pull that chain and then it closes. We're worried, I've been worried for 30 years that one day they're going to pull that chain and that whole mechanism is going to fail and it's going to leave it wide open for the river to come in. What they do is as the river comes up, that flap gate closes and it prevents that water from getting back into the neighborhoods. So what we want to do is replace those with what we call a simple system. It's basically a duckbill, and as water hits it, pressure-wise, it'll open up when the river's down, and as the river comes up, they just automatically close. There's no mechanics to it. There's no maintenance to them. They've been proven all over the country as far as a lot of wastewater, effluent, and stormwater. That's the first big item. The other one was the pump stations. We had 3 pump stations. One at the 2nd Street, one at Water Street, and then one at the other one, which is off Elder Street. As you know, when the floods in the river comes up and chance of rain is there, we have to rent 2 sets of pumps, one on 2nd Street and one over there by Water Street, which is Moo Moo's. As the river comes up, we get rain, those areas do not drain. So we put pump stations up there and generators and a pump to make sure that if it does rain, we can pump that water over the levee. This project has those 2 in it We were going to add another one on Elder Street, but again, what Katie said, the project came in at 7 million. Elder Street that area is typically impacted not from rainwaters. It's impacted when the river comes up. That river circulates back through the south outfall up Bottom Street and adversely affects them. The pump station, what it would do is in a minor rain or a minor event, it would help. But in a major event, we just be recirculating the water. And we elected to keep this project moving to really help those two neighborhoods, improve the reliability of the flap gates. Keep it moving is let's eliminate that Elder Street pump station, keep the two that are vital, keep the flap gates going, and that's how we got to this point, technically.
So you're going to keep all three floodgates?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. That's
Understood you
a
were taking
critical
one
point.
of the floodgates away and not the other.
No, all the floodgates are in there. It's just one of the pump stations.
Okay, okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Conley, for sticking with it.
Any other questions?
No.
I have one more.
Long time.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any time in the future that you will add that pump to Elder Street?
We've talked to Matt, the engineer, Matt Glaze, and we're going to do as many preliminary things such as foundation preparations or stub outs into the box that we have to build for the flap gates. But yes, our intent is to build as much as we can in anticipation of that pump station at a later date.
Okay. And also, Ms. Conley just said something about pending the GLO approval after we approve this?
Yes, ma'am. We're working on that now to present to them because this represents a scope modification that they will have to approve before we can move forward.
Okay.
We didn't want to wait, though, because like I said, we're on a pretty strict time constraint. So this is all happening at the same time. We're
Okay.
just moving forward.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing it that way.
Yes.
Hopefully it works.
Yes. I am hopeful.
Yeah.
I move we adopt, what is it?
E1.
E1.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second to adopt item E1. Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. E2.
Item E2 is a resolution approving agreement with Civic Plus for the implementation and maintenance of C-Click Fix in the amount not to exceed $69,171.01.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. When we first implemented, or staff had first identified that we needed an ability to have citizens respond to our submit complaints and a request and get their timely feedback. The issue we had, though, is that we first had to provide or improve our capacity for response. What we had was our current work order systems. We had currently 4 work order systems, and none of those actually could communicate with each other. So we had to actually go in and come up with another solution. This is a solution we came up with, C-Click Fix. This is what council had approved in our November 2nd meeting. This is slated for implementation of phase 1, which is currently in progress right now.
That project in November was called CityWorks.
CityWorks, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That'll probably ring a bell.
Yeah. And so, and then the second phase, which is slated for next year, would be Parks, BES, Environmental Services. So what we had to do is take those 4 work order systems, consolidate them into one system, CityWorks, and that's what we're currently working on now. Phase 1 is currently scheduled to go live in September of this year. So we're looking forward to having that implemented. While CityWorks is a very robust system, we still needed a way to provide the means for citizens to communicate. And this is where we're now coming to you for this approval for C-Click Fix. C-Click Fix is the platform we chose for this integration because it has a seamless integration with CityWorks, and also it has an integration directly with our current web provider, which is Civic Plus. With C-Click Fix, users can report issues a number of different ways. One of them will be a branded app, so we will work with communications to develop and create a branded app that will be available on the Apple App Store and also on Google Play. It'll also be available via text message, Facebook, and then through our existing citizen portal on our website. Citizens will receive immediate feedback that the request has been received, and they will continue to receive back whenever there's any work done and when their request has been completed. This is just an example of what that would look like if it was on a website. Issue management was one of the things that addresses a number of concerns. One of the big concerns that we had was just the amount of work orders that would actually be put in once this goes live. And so an example of that would be somebody saw a pothole. How will that handle that if now 20 or 30 citizens start reporting the same pothole? One thing that's really unique about C-Click Fix is it has the ability to take and actually, because it's tied in directly with our GIS system, it's able to geolocate that request. And so, for instance, if I was to put the request in and then somebody else would put the request in, it would immediately know that that's already been a request that's been put in the system. And then it would alert them that that has already had an existing work order request put in. They can either then, at that part, then take and subscribe to the watch list, so they can watch that request, and then they will also then continue to receive notifications when that work is being worked on and when it's ultimately completed. They also can create watch areas to watch progress. An example, I would say, like if I was in my neighborhood, I could go ahead and create a watch list in my neighborhood. And then that way I could see if if there was any work scheduled to do work in my neighborhood, I would be alerted about that work. Like I said, we do have a direct integration with CityWorks and also with GIS. This is also just an example of what that would look like with that integration. Of course, obviously, instead of Oak 311, we will design that app to look something with our Victoria logo. And like I said, we'll be working with communications to develop that, that branding. Also, and this is another example of how the different ways that they can receive notifications of the issues being closed. So if they do receive a notification that a ticket is, request has been closed, they can either get it through, if they did it through a text message or if they did it through the app, they can receive that notification. Now, they do have the ability, if they choose not to, if they report it anonymously, that would be the only time that they would not be able to receive a notification that that request was closed out. And any questions?
No, thank you. I think this can be a great tool for citizens. And also get that feedback as soon as the work order is closed. That'll be
And
nice.
more importantly, it also kind of it'll also help us better track even just our own work orders, right? And be able to provide better reports to you and the general public on how good of a job we're doing. These types of mechanisms are becoming more popular because it used to be that, cities would focus on number of potholes, right? And that was your metric. Well, that's very one-sided, right? We should be looking at how long is it taking us to fix that pothole or, pick up that stop sign that fell down, right? And really start tracking and looking at what is impacting our ability to respond in a timely manner, and then invest resources in responding better, and then hopefully limiting the number of requests that go in, right? So the system will not only help the resident, but help us also run a more efficient operation.
Who monitors that app from the city side in terms of the request that comes in? Is that a specific department or individual or?
So what happens is, as a request comes into C-Click Fix, it is automatically added into CityWorks. So then from there, we have built in the routing rules. So for instance, if it was something to do with Public Works, it automatically would go within that department. The one thing that's unique about it, that what CityWorks is, it doesn't have to necessarily just sit in a queue waiting for somebody to assign it. So it can be automatically assigned out to a department, to a street crew, anything to have to work on that. It could even be done, assigned out over the weekend.
And is the response back to the citizen, is that kind of a computer generated, or is it specific, by an
That-
individual specific as to that request?
That is a very immediate feedback. Thank you for that question. So for instance, if I have somebody out in the field and they're working on that, as soon as they type something into City Works that's saying they've completed this, it immediately goes back into C-Click-Fix, would then immediately then notifies them that that work is being done.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
But we do have individuals in each department, obviously, helping us do some quality control and assigned keeping up with this program.
Great. Motion?
I move we adopt.
Second.
Thank you. A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion, comments, questions?
I have one thing, Mayor, an amendment. I would propose, make a motion to amend the resolution, because I believe the resolution had an amount not to exceed 67,171.01, and the notice has 69,171.01. So I think we need to amend the resolution. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
That's a motion to amend.
So move.
Second.
All right. So for the motion to amend the dollar amount, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then we have the amended motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Thank you, Mr. Crocker, for that clarification. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Amended motion carries. E3.
Item E3 is a resolution to appoint members to the Victoria Health Facilities Development Corporation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a short presentation on this resolution tonight. Before you tonight, the resolution will appoint 3 members to serve on the Victoria Health Facilities Development Corporation Board of Directors. And that board was founded in 1983 in accordance with the Health Facilities Act. And the purpose was to promote and develop new or expanded and improved health facilities for our area. And 3 city council members serve on that board of directors in 2-year terms, and the term of any director shall not exceed the period for which the director shall be a public official. So currently, Councilman De La Garza, Councilwoman Scott, and Mayor Pro Tem Young serve on that particular board. They do wish to be reappointed if the council so desires. Of course, I'll take any questions if you have them, but I do want to point out the resolution does not include the names currently, so the motion would need to name the council members being appointed to that particular board.
And I do think, and I do believe all 3 of those council members also serve on the Housing Finance Corporation.
Hammer is good.
Yep. That's right.
I move that we adopt
Spotless record.
the resolution with Andrews and Jan Scott's, Enrique De La Garza's name in it.
All right, got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Thank you all for agreeing to serve again. I know it's very time consuming. And thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we're into city manager reports, Mr. Garza.
All right, so we have one for tonight that Julie will present, which is update on our CDBG 2022 annual action plan.
So it's that time of year for us to give you our recommendations for our plan year 2022 funds. So we did see almost a $50,000, a little bit over a $50,000 drop from our plan year 2021. So we just received our official notification. So HUD is awarding us $576,506. So for reference, last year we were awarded $627,688. So that's about a $51,000 drop. What our proposed budget is as it reads right here. Administration is our 20%. We are proposing $10,000 to affordable housing programs, which is our mortgage, down payment, and closing cost assistance program. We're proposing $39,000 for demolition, which is demolition of substandard structures in eligible CDBG tracts. We're proposing $325,000 for public facilities, which I will identify, and then $86,000 for public services, which I will also identify, and that category has a 15% cap. So we are only allowed to spend $86,000. So just as a refresher, CDBG funds have to help low to moderate income individuals with our households within our community. This is the latest and greatest income chart from HUD that just went into effect on June 1st. So on the lowest end is those making 30% of our median family income is $15,700, and a family of four at 100% median family income is $74,700.
Which went up.
That should be
Right.
new.
That's what I'm saying, it went
Yeah.
up.
Yes, it went up about $400 across the board on all these categories. So we are recommending these public facilities for 2022. Gulf Bend Mental Health Clinic at Nursery Drive. Last year, we awarded them $100,000, and that clinic and getting that as robust as they'd like to be is a much bigger project. So they went ahead and requested an additional $250,000. We are recommending funding that project at $160,000. The Victoria Housing Authority is requesting exterior weatherization and painting of their Leary Lane complex. That's about 18 buildings at that Leary Lane complex, and so they are requesting $95,000 for that, and we're recommending funding that. The Boys and Girls Club has an office renovation they're requesting for at $12,800. Salvation Army has dorm improvements at $12,215,000, and the YMCA is planning a remodel of their child care center to be able to add an additional room at $45,464,000. So we are recommending fully funding all of these except for the Gulf Bend, which again their original request was $250,000, and we are only recommending $160,000. We do have one facility we are not recommending funding this year, and that's Perpetual Help Homes Wan Lin Training Center renovations. We have awarded them $100,000. That is an ongoing project. They also have another active project, which is the daycare center in Depot Street. And because of those two ongoing projects, we felt they're kind of taxed, and that we suggested that they finish out those two projects and then come back next year for any additional work that they still may need on their Wan Lin Training Center. Our public service agency activities, this is the 15% max. So all of these programs are existing programs with the exception of the last one on the list. That's United Way Community Connections Program. That's a new program. So you'll see that their prior year award is 0. They've not received funding in the past. We are not able to fund all of these at the full amount that they've requested. As you can see, the $144,000 was requested, and we only have $86,475 max that we can expend, and so we awarded $86,000. So Boys and Girls Club Power Hour Summer Camp, they requested $20,000. We're recommending $10,000. Community Action Committee, Senior Services Care Program, they requested $10,000. We are recommending $8,000. CAC Meals on Wheels, they requested $10,000, and we are recommending $8,000. Golden Crescent Food Bank requested $15,000, and we're recommending $14,000 for their kids backpack program. Golden Crescent CASA requested $8,000, and we're recommending $8,000. Gulf Bend Wellness Community requested $45,000, and we are recommending $20,000. That's to fund a staff member. Meals on Wheels, the Senior Center requested $21,000, and we're recommending $8,000. And then United Way Community Connections, again, that's a new program. They requested $15,000, and we are recommending $10,000.
Before you move on, can I ask a question?
Sure.
These CDBG funds that are given, are they given for Victoria or are they given for a region?
No, City of Victoria is
City
an
of
entitlement
Victoria.
community. So everyone that is served has to be a citizen of the City of Victoria, a resident.
So I know that a number of the organizations on this list, and regional seems to be the latest trend. Is there any mechanism in place? I have a concern about that when we are, funding a project that potentially could go to an area beyond where the funds are given.
So this public service activity, these are tied back to actual individuals. So, to receive a backpack from the food bank, the school district and the food bank partner, and they provide funds on that individual child. So on the public service activities, we get income determinations, residency, proof of citizenship on every individual application. Public facilities is a little different. You know, that's a presumed clientele, presumed benefit. That facility has to be within the city of Victoria, and so they may, you know, serve people outside the city of Victoria, but because the actual facility is within our city limits and the majority of who they're serving is citizens within the city, that's how we meet that test. But for the public service activities, those actually have documentation that proves it's a citizen of the city of Victoria.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
it correct that each of these individuals has to live in a qualified census tract?
No.
No?
There are certain, like demolition, you would have to be in a qualified census tract. Some of our public facilities are tied to census tracts, but no, this would be based off of income determination. So you fill out the income determination form. We look at bank statements, paycheck stubs, child support stubs. All of that information gets collected.
Thank you.
So this isn't part of our Plan Year 22 information, but I did want to give y'all a quick update on our rental assistance program, which is, you know, a little bit the last bit of our COVID-19 funds. So as you know, we are running it only for 3 months. We weren't able to open it until April 11th. So that means it will run through July 11th. This money only assists those between the 30th and 80th percentile of the median family income, and we only provide up to 3 months of assistance. The applicants cannot have received any prior assistance, so they have to be brand new to the program, and they have to have a COVID-19 tie back. So far, in the 2 months we've been open, we have assisted 17 households, which is 43 individuals, and it expended $45,000. We originally budgeted $103,000. So we expect to maybe expend another $10,000 to $20,000. And if we do that, we'll have about a little over $40,000 left over that we are been recommending, as we last explained to council, to give to the food bank for their facility expansion, which was an original COVID-19 program. So we'll just open that project back up, do a minor amendment in our IDIS CDBG system, and then award the food bank that additional, you know, for however much shakes out the remainder amount of $40,000. And with that, we will completely close out our COVID-19 funds. However, there is chatter that there's a lot of agencies or cities that haven't been able to expend all of their funds. They have to have 80%, I think, expended by this December, with all of the funds being expended by next December. So what that means is we may see more. So if we see more, I don't know how we'll spend it. We'll have to have some conversations. But as of right now, we are really good on track with spending all of our funds by the end of this fiscal year.
This rental assistance program, are the JPs aware of it?
Yes, and we actually get a lot of referrals from eviction court. So if council doesn't have any input on our funding recommendations, we can move forward with our annual action plan, developing it over this next month. The public comment period will open July 2nd, run through August 1st. We will ask council to approve that plan with these funding amounts at the August 2nd council meeting, and then turn it into HUD by August 16th. So with that, I don't have any questions, but I will put the proposed budget slide back.
Can you go back to the slide with perpetual help on there?
Yes, ma'am.
Right there. Okay, you said that they have 2 active projects, the daycare rehab and the Juan Lin Training Center. Are those with prior year CDBG funds?
Yes, ma'am. So Juan Lin Training Center was plan year 20, and the daycare is plan year 21.
Okay. So when they finish those projects and they finish their funding, then they're eligible for the following year?
Yes, I mean, they were eligible this year. We just felt that there might be too much on their plate, and with the other requests that we had received and the fact that they have received so much, you know, recently, that's why we're not recommending, but we did encourage them, once they close these out, to apply in the future.
Okay.
Great.
We do require agencies to show capacity, and we feel they're at capacity with 2 projects open.
Right, I understand.
Great, thank you. Well, anybody have anything else need to bring up?
Oh, I should have brought it up at the beginning, but I just.
I'll reopen items from council.
Please, okay. I don't go down Juan Lin too much anymore, but I was told that, I don't know where Ken is at, but anyway, there was a water leak between Por La Vaca Highway and Laurent. And the hole has gotten so big now that, somebody could fall in there, okay? And then I had another question. Where are we at on the LED lighting? Have we gotten started anywhere? I go down the street and I don't see any bright lights, so where are they?
Yeah, it's a great question. Little Mike, are you Little Mike?
Yes, I am. Well, I can answer the LED lighting. So AEP will begin replacing the HPS lights with LED lights starting in July. And
What area of town? Or
they will start on the south side. So it'll be
this way
anything
or
south.
this way?
It'll be south, everything south of Airline,
Okay.
all the way down to 59.
So are they starting on Airline or are they starting on 59?
They're actually starting in Silver City area.
Okay.
That was the best thing that you said because, like south of Airline is still a big area.
Yeah, it's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
But AEP will start in July,
July?
and it will
Okay.
take them 2 months. And then we'll come back to you for phase 2 in probably October, and that will be from Airline North.
Okay.
So altogether, 4,000 lights will be replaced.
And it's taken them a little while to get the materials.
It has. Everything is kind of because of supply.
Is this on major roads or is this neighborhoods? Is it everything?
Yes.
And then they'll be
That'll be
complaining
awesome.
it's too light, but we'll take it.
I have a question about AEP. Usually before hurricane, they come out and they trim the trees along the power lines. And I know in my neighborhood, they haven't trimmed anything. And I don't know if the city needs to call AEP because it doesn't do any good after a hurricane to start trimming the trees.
We can get an update from them. It's not something they do every year. What? Okay, go for it. I mean, you're here. I mean.
So we.
Little Daryl.
Little Daryl.
Thank you.
Actually, we just had a meeting with AEP, STEC, and the co-op to talk through hurricane stuff about 3 weeks ago. That stuff is actually set up on a 3 to 7 year rotating plan. I will tell you, AEP is working in town. We had multiple calls today from AEP cleaning out lines and things like that. So they are in town working currently. And so I would remind the public, because this came up, if you've got wires that are touching, you can call AEP and they can send a crow. They can send a crow over to sit there and squawk till somebody comes and cuts it. I don't know where that came from. But anyways, you can call AEP and they can send a crew over to trim them. The resident at that time is responsible. AEP is going to cut them, and wherever they fall is where they fall. Now, they'll cut them up, but you're responsible for getting them out to the front of your property and calling the city to pick it up. If AEP is doing their general maintenance, they usually have that Esplund or whatever company. They handle all that themselves.
Thank you.
That's a good thing
All
to
right.
know.
Everybody good? All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask.
We do
Ken.
have executive session.
Yes, we're
we
going to
do?
recess for 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then reconvene the executive session, and we do not plan to come out with any other meeting or decisions.
The City Council will recess for executive session on the 7th day of June 2022 at 6:33 PM in accordance with deliberation on an executive session in accordance with Texas Government Code 551072 and 551087 and 551071.